Hi, welcome back to the challenge. It is now exactly 31 days to the end of the year. I am just waking up where I am in Central Standard Time in Kansas. So for me, December is just starting today. I know for the people in East Africa and other regions of the world, you've already gone into the day a lot more. Let's just have a free-flowing conversation today, looking at some of the things we've spoken about before. So my eyes are on you today, Elena, right?
Okay.
Yes. It's your goal is to develop, that's how I see it, to develop yourself holistically so that you, when you're present, you have a sharp mind, you have the ability to communicate, so that then whether you want to be a consultant or a trainer or a leader, you are present. That's my perception of the journey you are going on to.
Yes.
And I know that you want to have versatile skills so that you can use them in Tasmania, in New Zealand, in
Very
Netherlands,
correct.
anywhere.
Yeah. The
Anyway,
nomad world. Yes.
good. So the goal that we set when we were doing the breakthrough setup, you decided to write 5 articles.
Correct.
Why is this important for you?
For me, it's important in the sense that I feel that writing is a strength of mine. It's something that I need to develop in the sense that I'm able to produce material a bit faster and confident in my skill.
How long have you
Uh,
been writing?
I write technically for business,
Yeah.
for work, and also for school. So through that, I'm able to see what my strengths are, and it's something I want to hone. So far, I've been writing like one blog article per month, but I'd like to increase my frequency.
What would you say has been your biggest bottleneck in terms of being able to produce content, more content, or produce content faster?
Uh, Being overwhelmed with multiple sources in terms of research,
Yeah,
and finding that the editing process takes me a bit longer.
yeah, yeah. So it's, I mean, those are specific bottlenecks around which you can create a strategy. So I mean, editing is difficult for everyone. And I think sometimes most of the learning we do as writers is not even in the initial writing, is in the rewriting.
Oh yes,
I hear so
it's
many of the producers of films, like very high quality films, say that every film is not, there's no film that is written, but every film is rewritten, such that most of the times what they end up producing is not it has no resemblance with the initial script that they had written.
yeah. I saw a lot of that in the blog post that I did in October. For that, I had help with the the writing course that I was taking. I had access to an editor who was able to guide me through the process. But now I'd like to be doing the editing myself. So it's that quick learning curve that you have to be fast at it and also gain that competence.
It is 4 years from today. You have done writing consistently, and you have addressed the bottlenecks that you struggle with. So what do you see? What is happening?
I see gaining authority in the field of business strategy. I see being a role model. I see myself being a role model to um, business professionals, especially female business professionals coming up and having their own voice that is undeterred, being sought as an authority in that particular field of strategy.
Who is reading your articles 5 years from today?
5 years from today, it would be business owners that are looking to have sustainability in their business, in the sense that they've been doing their business for 3 to 5 years and they want to scale up. They want to be sustainable. They want to become bigger and better.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think so. That question I've asked you is the same question I would ask you, like, who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal audience? Because my experience, just looking at writing is one area that I have examined really, really extensively until I settled on what I want to write on going forward. So I know that there are so many niches. For example, copywriting by itself, like copywriting for small businesses or medium businesses, is a big area. But content that is directly geared to a specific niche can be so powerful because it allows you to delve deep. You keep mentioning women, entrepreneurs, businesses. So it's the question I've asked you is essentially for you to define who your ideal client is, so that then you are answering questions, and that's how you become an authority. You become sought for your ability to answer specific questions, to address specific pain points. When you look at from the time you started running your business to where you are now, what would you say were your like top 3 most pressing problems that you dealt with as a person?
In terms of my skills, or in terms of the solution that I'm coming up with?
Let's see which ones come up. In terms of you running the business, you being involved in the business, what were your biggest challenges or pain points?
Particularly sales.
Mm-hmm.
Doing sales on your own is quite different from doing sales when you're working in somebody's organization. You are in charge of the process from start to finish. So there's a level of control, and there's an output that you envision, and you have to be in charge of the entire process and seeing it through. The stakes are a bit higher doing it on your own. So that is something that I'm still working at, but I believe that I'm gaining that competence in it. It's interesting to become the source of help towards somebody's pain point. And I think sales is that particular bridge that gets you to fulfill somebody's need and ensure that it fits into their expectations of what they want from that particular product. So be it doing that drop shipping, somebody is looking for something from abroad because they're not able to source it locally. Yeah. So I'm able to address that particular problem in meeting their quality needs according to their specifications and at a favorable price, and also offering convenience because it's delivery to the doorstep.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm asking you these questions because I'm trying to wrap my mind around, like, to really get the heart of, like, what is your most powerful driver?
Why?
Yes. And if you were to, because if you want to become an authority, you become an authority in something specific, and then you get invited to offer your opinion in everything else. And that's what happens all the time. You see a nondescript lawyer that nobody knows. This lawyer is involved in a presidential election petition. Suddenly they are on our TV, and before you know it, they are commenting about the floods in Budalangi or Ebola in West Africa. It's so that visibility brands you as a thought leader, but visibility is, we don't seek visibility to everyone. We seek visibility to our right audience, because we gain authority with a specific audience. want to gain authority with a specific audience. So your challenge is going to be to cut down the niche where you are answering a specific question, and you answer that specific question deeper, more extensively, more consistently than anyone else. If you look at, for example, at somebody like Jackson Biko, right? Jackson
Yeah.
is answering a specific, is meeting a specific need. How do you make daily stories intellectually stimulating for the mid-level professional? Everyone else who comes to read his articles is secondary. He is writing to this man or woman who is between 28 and 45, who hasn't read for a long time, but now needs an article that can hold their interest. And he is doing it through story. That's it. And you look at his audience, you look at the people he interviews, and you know that that's what he is doing. But because he wrote for a long time before any of us knew him, but now almost everyone is coming aware about, he's going to be one of our, like, one huge deal, as good as any other writer across the continent, and his authority is continuing to grow. But that's because he is serving his niche, his specific audience really, really well. So for you, Elena, who is your audience? And in this audience, for example, let's say it is women entrepreneurs, and your topic is strategy. But is it strategy about business development? Is it strategy about staff development? Is it strategy about market research? Is it strategy about sales, and what component of sales, or what components of sales? And using your experience can be a very good way to figure out what are some of the pressing problems. And initially, you might just start writing around the problems that you have encountered yourself, and writing about those problems from multiple perspectives, and then see what comes. Then you will gain clarity as you go along. Unfortunately, clarity is a result of momentum. Clarity does not lead to momentum. So you start taking action, then you figure out what you connect with the most, what your audience want to learn from you, and what you're best equipped to answer to your audience. Yeah, keep writing. We have a month. By the end of the month, you will definitely have moved in terms of creating clarity. So Elena, this is the aim, right? To make the topic so specific that it no longer takes you 3-4 days to come up with an article. And that's because you will have written something this week, which when you're writing next week, you're essentially writing on the flip side of what you're writing this week, because your niche is specific, your audience is specific, their questions are interrelated, and you can actually figure out, what the journey is that you are taking them. One of my biggest struggles with the challenge we are on is to figure out a journey that I can get every one of you on, because each of you has joined the journey, this challenge at a different time. Each of you has slightly different needs, slightly different direction. So creating that journey. But when you are writing, you know that they will access these articles when they do, but you can create that journey for them so that then that journey helps you. So specific niche, specific audience, a limited scope in terms of topics, and then you delve deep. You would rather be 1 inch wide but 1 mile deep than be 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep. Nobody will recompensate you for 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep. But if you go 1 mile deep, even if it's just 1 inch wide, that's something that nobody can ignore, especially if they are in the audience that you are looking to serve. Right. Let's speak with Judith. I'm starting off with the people who are here as you came in today. Judith R. Where are you with making progress with R?
Let me say I'm quite behind, like in terms of how much I should have made, like how much progress I should have made at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically that is because R is more of like a personal goal, like very specific to what I wanted for myself and for my next steps in the career.
Yeah.
But I had like other goals that like they are in line with what I do at work.
Yeah, yeah.
And how like I made more progress to them. And for some reason I did not make as much progress in R. I'm just trying to pick up now and try to make more steps so that I prolong the entire learning. So let me just talk about my other goal, that was submitting one publication as the first author. And that one was in line with my work, and it is part of qualitative data analysis that I've been doing for quite some time. And I did submit my first draft to like the other team so that they can be able to like review. So I submitted to my supervisor just a few weeks ago, and I think that was like a progress because this is something I wanted to overcome. Like there's that fear of how will people take my first writing, and then, you know, that fear of I'm not sure if I want to do this, but at least I got that, like the first step towards publishing it. So that is what took more of my priority compared to my personal goal that was learning R. But I was doing it. Okay, I'm still doing it, but I think I would be more if I gave it more time, which I did not.
Yeah, yeah. This is just so interesting. So and this will be true for everyone on this challenge if you have done, you know, your daily writing of your goals. That what automatically happens when you narrow down to one main goal, that main goal is like an aircraft, and when it rises with other goals, and sometimes it rises with goals you don't realize. So your first statement, Judith, saying that you are not where you would have wanted to be with R, that is a win by itself. You know what that says? It says that you know where you are. You can tell where you are. That is a win, because that is the ingredient that is lacking in most people's lives on a day-to-day basis. They don't know where they are with regards to the achievement of the specific goals they are trying to pursue. So when you find that you can say that I think I am on track, and you have that awareness over a prolonged period of time, you have enough fodder for the brain to know what to do with it. So in other words, what you've done is, and you did really well, is reprioritize, because you remember the strategy you shared with us in terms of where you want to go. All these ingredients are building into the same area. And so for everyone, you will realize that if you're writing your goals every day and you have one core goal, ultimately, automatically, you become aware about the places you waste time in. You become aware about the other things which end up wasting your time. You automatically become more conscious about how you're using your time, your energy, and your attention. And that is the purpose. That's how we become growth oriented. Right now, we are mostly operating, we are trying to build on the basis of goal driven, but we want to reach the level of becoming goal oriented, which brings me to the other thing you said, that you labeled them as personal goals. So there's personal goals. What would you label the other category as? Like R is a personal goal.
So like it's a personal initiative that is not like related to the work, work I'm doing now. Yeah.
So I want to encourage you to do this, and this is for everyone. From today, there are no personal goals and professional goals. Everything is personal. Everything is personal. The biggest opportunity that medicine has given me in this country, the United States, is for me to practice my communication skills. And this is my mindset. Every conversation I have with whoever is a platform. Every conversation, especially during this season of coronavirus, where we don't see a lot of the patients, I don't see them face to face. And even if I speak to them maybe 2 or 3 times a day, but I only see them once a day. Sometimes I don't see them because we limit them to only one physician seeing them to minimize exposure. So what ends up happening is I take a phone and I dial in and I speak to the patient. So I'll be like, hey, give their name. This is Dr. Job Mogire. I am one of the physicians taking care of you. And I just wanted to check in and see how you are doing, how your night was. Then I hear from them then I start explaining to them, I've looked at your x-rays and this is what I see. Compared to yesterday, this is what I see today. I've also looked at your labs and I'm very happy to report to you that this is what we are seeing. There's slow but gradual improvement. What are your biggest concerns? In other words, it is 10 minutes. It's a conversation. I am literally doing a presentation to this patient. This is a platform. And from that perspective, it ceases to be a professional goal and becomes a personal goal. I have clarity about the skills I want to refine. And therefore, every opportunity I am given, when I go to interview a new patient, I am not just interviewing this patient, I'm doing what we call motivational interviewing. Literally, I find out about what their driver is. You are smoking. What does smoking make you feel? What in 10 years from today, let's say 10 years today, what if you had quit smoking 10 years from today? How would your life look? I had a patient yesterday who broke down in tears from the questions I was asking him. And I'm like, so what did I do? I'm just asking questions. That's because this gentleman has struggled with relapsing into alcohol, relapsing into smoking, and he wants to quit. And that's because he uses them as a way to soothe, right? Every conversation for me is a platform. And that blurs the distinction between professional goals and personal goals. That place you work, take up every presentation that you can take up. If there is a goal, there is a project which you can lead maybe for 2-3 weeks, you sit in that chair and know that you are practicing for opportunities that you don't know when they will show up. And so when I was doing my interviews for fellowships for cardiology, it became so easy because I am literally doing exactly what I'm doing at work. I am just sitting here and listening and being asked questions and saying, oh, I grew up in Kenya and studied medicine in Kenya. And then I realized I needed to get more skills, but those were not available in Kenya. So while working, I created time to prepare for this exam and I sat this exam and then I came over. And that's why I want to complete the journey I came here. So I found myself doing exactly what I am doing. Please, everyone on this call, from today, there are no academic goals and professional goals and sports goals. Everything is a personal goal. Everything is a personal goal. When you are performing that task for your employer, the employer is interested in the result from the task. You are interested in the growth. Between these two things, one of them is short-lived, the result, but the growth can be permanent if you intend to make it permanent. Most of the overcoming I have had to do to overcome my starter has been with me becoming intentional, because I realized I am in a profession that requires me to speak with people every single day. And now I can see what a difference there is in terms of my starter compared to, let's say, 2010, 2011, especially when I was my first year as a medical officer. And today, I can see how much I have overcome that starter and become more deliberate in terms of how I communicate. And finally, start enjoying any opportunities I have to stand up and speak, go on a stage and make a presentation, because it's something that ignites my soul, literally ignites my soul. Blur those differences, discard those differences between professional and personal. Everything is personal. Everywhere you are, you can always find a way to utilize the situation you are in to grow your skill, to grow your discipline, to grow your perspective. Right? So that was all stimulated by Judith. How does that augur with you, Judith? Because now that it originated from the conversation we are having with you.
So let me just maybe make a clarification. So
Yes.
the reason why I said it's personal is because the current work I'm doing, like I don't have like the role of data analysis at that point. And that is why I'm developing this skill so that I can now present it to my employer that can I help you with this? So that is why I labeled it as a personal goal, because this is something I'm focusing on increasing like my skill and like increasing my input at work.
It's that's I love that's I know that you work 2 jobs, right? Like you do 2 different things at the same time.
Correct.
So this I hope you understand. I hope you get what I'm like what I'm sharing with you. What you are doing is exactly what I would like to do with my life, where I want to create opportunities to develop the skills I want and then avail those skills. And this is, everyone just please hear what Judith just shared. She's creating a skill that her employer is likely to need, actually needs. But you are not going to wait for your employer to create the opportunity for you to develop that skill. Judith, it's if there's anybody around you, ask them to give you a pat on your back. Because everything you've shared with us is literally our goals you are going out for, that you don't have to, you're learning R. One of it's a very annoying, I've done R before. I didn't complete it because I decided to change my direction, but it's a very annoying program to learn. You're literally learning to program. And that's exactly what you are doing, Judith. You are you're blurring the boundary between professional and personal goals so that you take personal initiative, which is exactly how you label it, personal initiative, to use the opportunities you have, even those that have not been provided, for you to create the opportunities to grow. Congratulations on submitting the manuscript. It's something that you've mentioned several times before. And I'm hoping that some of the momentum that you gained by writing about this goal daily helped you in terms of picking up and actually getting it moving. So what do the next steps look like for you?
So my next steps is like to now focus on like increasing my pace in learning R so that I can be able to have like an output at the end of like these 31 days.
Yeah.
At least the beginning of 2021 will now be an opportunity for me to present this skill and ask for like data to work on.
Yeah.
As I now gain more experience and now let people know that this is something I can do. And so I can say like this writing down of goals has been a great experience altogether, because like it has really given me that opportunity to take up the roles that I couldn't know I could do it. But like one of my goals was like to lead qualitative and quantitative research, which as we are speaking, I can say I'm leading the qualitative research analysis, and I have like this team of people that I've been training. And it just gave me that opportunity to realize that I can do this, and just writing down gave me that affirmation, because I've been doing qualitative analysis for the last few years, but I wasn't taking up that role of leading like teams and reviewing how they are progressing with the analysis altogether. So let me say it has grown my leadership skills and also the self-belief to do and act what I need to be doing.
Wow. Do you realize how rare consistency is amongst your colleagues? Like just that focus to come back to work every day or to come to the conversations every day with the same mindset. Do you realize how rare it is?
It is very rare, and it's something that like no one takes it so serious that you need to pick up the pace and move on. So you find some people will take it seriously and be consistent. Others will take longer time to, like, the turnaround time is longer for some people. They're not consistent in what they do, and others really move in faster. So working with teams is something that you can realize that, and it's a skill that really, consistency is a good skill. Like, it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Judith, 2021 will be the turnaround. First of all, Judith, everyone on this call has inspired me, but there is an extent to which you inspired me that goes beyond most people on this challenge, and I'm not making a difference. And that's literally just by the fact that you are up at 4:30 to get on the call. You just before 4:30, you are up. Like, it's that level of consistency. If you do that with just 240 of the 365 days in 2021, if you do that consistently, and then you show up with the same consistency you're showing up, oh, it will change everything. And Judith, you are demonstrating what personal initiative really is. And which is why I like the language you use when that this is my personal initiative. Taking personal initiative so that your presence on the teams you are on is going to help you serve and reach your personal goals. Remember, we are waiting to see Dr. Judith graduate with her PhD. So everything leading you in that journey, and you've already started it by being up this early, by showing up consistently, by preparing for those meetings, showing up ready to offer value. There is no better way for you to prepare than that. Consistency and personal initiative, period. Your game is already won. You just need to maintain that momentum, maintain the same consistency so that it locks in, it becomes your new normal. So thank you, Judith. Yes, who was Brainy? You are next.
What was the question again?
No, there are no questions. There's no preformed question.
Okay.
It's very specific. It's very different per person. What's the update from you? Where are you? What is going on with regard to what you're working on during this challenge?
Okay, I had to reevaluate my goals because I was also working with like supplying teaching kids English,
Yeah.
Chinese, and math, and then I had this also online Chinese course. But now I have to take a break from it and just concentrate on the kids more because I feel like I'm getting more kids as compared to offering the Chinese course in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am right now. For the kids, I do make like small storybooks for the kids. So basically, the conversation they have with their parents every day. Let me say a certain phrase. Let me, like, for instance, my neighbor's kid like to say to me like, "Hey, Brandy, where are you going?" So that's what I'm gonna put in the storybooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I'm still working on right now. But right now I have like 5 kids I'm working with at the moment.
Yeah.
Because the Chinese course online, it's been a bit challenging. I did the marketing, and most people are just like, "Oh, can you pay, help me pay for the course?" I'm like, wow. And then I also tend to find like a majority of people were between the age of 18 to 26.
Yeah.
And they seem to be unemployed, which is a bit challenging for me on my end too. So I just have to start back and try to find what's the best market and how can I market that.
Yeah.
So I just took a break from that. So this week I just went back to researching the market and concentrating on the kids more. Yeah.
So it's a big goal.
Yeah.
It's a big goal, and so this is the reason why I've kept encouraging all of you to do not. You have not arrived. You don't know whether you have arrived at the goals that you will be pursuing long term. Right? That's number one. Number two, you will find opportunities along the way, so that when you embrace those opportunities, then you contextualize them with regards to whether you think this is something you will do long term or not. What's your, I know you returned to the country and you have plans to move. What's your pathway like today when you look at your life? What's your pathway?
In terms of career, or like in terms of what?
Especially, yeah, I mean career, personal development.
Right now I'm just planning on working with the kids for the time being till next year in June.
Okay.
And then because next in June I'm gonna go back to China to start my master's degree. So in the meantime, I'm just working with the kids and also trying to revamp the marketing on how I can really make this Chinese course to be successful.
Yeah.
So in a day, after 3, I'll just maybe give it 45 minutes to do research and call a few friends to ask them what will be the way forward. How can I work with this? What will be the best solution for that?
Yeah.
Because for the kids, I feel like it's been more smooth and more easy together.
Yeah. So this is probably a much longer conversation than we can have here, but perhaps a few things that I would tell you. When you're venturing into uncharted territory, it's very difficult to find the help you need amongst the people you know. Most of the time, that's the reality, which is why you have to find out whether there is a fire within. If there is a fire within, then it means this has to be reformatted as a long-term vision. The marketing you need, the marketing you need will eventually be dependent on your expertise demonstrated. And some of the most powerful ways to do that is through a series of short videos, or it's churning out content. For something like this, it's for churning out content. So hopefully I will find time to just have a conversation with you, maybe 15, 20 minutes, so that we figure out for you whether this is something you want to work on, or maybe it's a different, maybe you need to evaluate and see what goal you will be passionate enough for you to stick with, because any important goal you're going to deal with is going to be tough. I started the House of Mastery from scratch when I had just come back from the UK, and I decided I'm not going to the hospital for a while, and it can be tough. What I learned is when you need guidance, direction to a new destination, most of the time you won't find that help amongst your friends, because if they had that kind of pathway, many of them would be doing, if it's a friend who is doing business and has gone through the throes of entrepreneurship, creating something new, long-term persisting, then that can be the kind of person that might be able to give you those kinds of insights. Otherwise, you are literally taking a leap. Now it's a question of structuring that leap in such a way that you see progressive growth. The marketing stage that will come, you may not be able to make money from this course even in the next year. And that's something for you to bear in mind, because during that time, it is growth that has to happen inside for it to become part of your identity, by you producing content every day, showing up every day, showing up despite it being uncomfortable. You might take, for example, a group of these young people who are not able to pay, take 5 of them and take them through components, some parts of the course, because at the end of the day, it is you proving the concept to yourself. proving your commitment to show up for this goal. That's what is going to become the foundation. And this is true for all of us on the call, that the goal you are on, the lead measures, the advanced actions you have to take for it to become normal for you, for your brain to buy into it, for it to become a natural part of your expectations that I will be doing this. Eventually, you will succeed in this area. For everyone on the call, the goal you want, you will succeed. The question is, are you committed to produce content in advance, even when you do not see the end result? Nobody's paying me for this content I've been sharing with you, and I will continue sharing with you for the sessions that I'm doing with you. Nobody's paying me for this. But if there's going to be any payment for this, that will be an outcome. At the forefront, I am showing up at 3:30 to do this because I am refining my skill. I am proving my commitment, and I am putting myself in the emotional state of being in the presence of a real life audience and waiting to see whether I see transformation happen in this audience lives, because my the tagline for the House of Mastery is transforming people. And if the work I do does not transform some people during the breakthrough challenge, it means probably I need to reevaluate. So for everyone, this is not just for Brainy, for everyone, this is a long-term game. It's a long-term game. Along the way, you are going to have opportunities. Those opportunities can be great. Take advantage of them to the extent you can, as long as any opportunities you take up don't end up blurring your main goal, whatever your main goal is. For Brainy, you're going back for masters. Is it a master's in a specific subject, or is it in the language itself? Brainy, are you there?
Oh, hello.
Yes, yes.
I was talking, but I was on mute.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's okay.
my major was on international trade and economics, so I'm gonna do the masters for that.
So that's the masters you're going into.
Yes.
You know what? Maybe for you, the way to combine the two is, it might not even be to. It's you have tons of opportunities, but at the end of the day, and I can give you so many ideas, just seeing where you are. At the end of the day, it's going to be what is it you want to do with the skills you have, that the skills you have, that knowledge you have, so that then eventually the skill needs to be something you're passionate about, something that pays money, something that you can become excellent at. Those three ingredients. Skill that can pay money. It has to pay money. It has to be something that you are passionate about, so that you can do it long term. And it should be something that you have the capacity to become excellent. You put those three things together, you have what we call, you have your niche, so that niche then becomes the source of your growth, the source of money, so that with this money, then whatever else you want to do, if you want to establish a therapy institute or whatever else you want to do from the other goals you've shared with us, you can use it for that purpose. Brainy, you are at the intersection of business, international business, and Chinese. You have some great opportunities there, but you would need to narrow down to one and stick there until you are only 1 inch wide but 10 miles deep. Business and Chinese, you can translate for anyone, anywhere. You could do a blog that tells people, that discusses, shows people where the opportunities are. Or you want to import tiles, you want to import construction materials, you want to import furniture, you want to import clothing. People go onto the Chinese websites and you can't figure their way around. You could create videos where you are just navigating people. Like, when you come to the website, this article, this means about us. This means contact us. There's just so many ideas, and we'll find time to speak. And then when you succeed, you just send me a percentage of your success.
Thank you for
Yes.
that. That's
Rainy,
yeah.
you have time. You look at how young you are. Look at what you have in your hands. You can speak a language that is spoken by 1 billion people, but you speak a language of 1 billion people who produce products for the world, and you are in international business. I couldn't think of a better combination. And so my percentage, when the day it comes, is going to be a big percentage. We'll find time to speak, Brainy. Let's hear from James.
Okay, thank you.
Hi guys. I am finally I got to caught up. I was a bit late, but I am here. So to share on my journey so far, my goal was on my studies, especially clinical medicine. It's the course I'm pursuing right now. So I realized that what's happening is that it's like the lens of a camera when you focus on a specific object, and it's like the other ones fall to the side. They're not, they are there, but they're not really there. So that is how it has become for me. I realized that some other goals I had are shifting, mostly because I do not want to get in my own way. Especially, I had a goal to read financial books on financial and personal development, but I have since then changed that to reading books on how to read, how to study, how to learn, just to help me get better at what I'm doing, just to help me make it easier for me to study. Because what I am trying to do at this point is to come up with a personalized way of studying, of going through medicine, because I have to go through clinical medicine. Then then after which I will enroll for the bachelor's, from where I can specialize in oncology. So I want to find from this level a personalized way of going through medicine, and I am taking these 30 days that are remaining to help me build the skills that I need, not just to take me through the whole course, but also for my other goals. That something like consistency, that showing up, I am showing up to do something that I love, like learning how to read faster in case I have to do anything else. Yes, so that's where I am to this point.
Yeah, so you know what, James, you have you have some people who you need to surprise, right? You know those guys from your school who went straight to medical school? The day they send patients to you as their oncologist, that's the day I'm waiting to see, right? And by doing what you're doing today, trust me, you are already miles ahead of them, because you are taking personal initiative to do something that is the hardest thing for most people to do. I will tell you without a doubt that there are far too many colleagues, physicians who come through medical school, but if you tasked them to discuss specific subjects about what they have already covered, they know a ton about several subjects, but none deep enough. Here is something that a lot of people might not know about me. I was very passionate when I went to medical school, first year, second year, third year. When I crossed to fourth year, there was just some changes that happened in the school which really discouraged me. So during my fourth year, I traveled more than I studied. I can literally count the number of times in the course of the year that I sat down to study. But I was still in the top half of the class. The reason is first year, second year, third year, the depth I studied was such that some of that content is still fresh to date. The depth, I was the top student in anatomy, and that's not to brag. It's just because of the structure I used to study. I I did not cram anything in anatomy. I mastered anatomy. How did I master anatomy? By learning, studying from my brain, working backwards from my brain, where I am drawing those structures and then going back to the atlas to check what the atlas has. So that is your challenge, James, for you to get to a place where it is no longer the content in the book, it is what you have, so that the book is like a mirror. And that's the journey that you need to put yourself on to keep moving towards. I believe the biggest waste of time that people have is reading things they already know. If you are a physician, or you are an accountant, or you are a lawyer, when you open any textbook, there are parts of that topic that is a waste of time for you. You can't be reading about the definition of business when you're already an accountant. That is a waste of time for you, such that the book becomes a reference resource. Your brain has so much content already that sometimes you generate insights by just sitting down and, for example, you're reading about malaria. You generate so many insights by just sitting down and saying, okay, malaria and diabetes. How are these two conditions common? How are they different? What principles in the treatment of diabetes apply to malaria? What treatments in the treatment of malaria apply to diabetes? What treatments of malaria can be harmful for diabetes? Such that just by sitting down and playing out with the concepts you already have, it gives you a depth that is so powerful. I remember the specific exercises I used to do. Like I would literally sit down with an anatomy text, put it on the side. I'm like, okay, the foot. Let's say somebody has a gunshot and it goes through the 10 centimeters and it breaks 3 bones. What structures would be affected? And I try and visualize in my mind and write out what structures I think would be affected, right? Then I look at the atlas to see whether I was right, without worrying about, where does this structure come from? Where does it go? So that I developed a visual understanding of the human body. And then now when I start reading about, this artery goes here and diverts like this and curves around and bifurcates into these tributaries, it's making deeper sense. We waste too much time in school writing notes. I think the biggest waste of people's time in primary school and high school is writing notes. And unfortunately, we continue doing the same thing when we get to university. We continue doing the same thing when we are in our professional level. I believe in having a standard text, right? And jotting down really, really brief notes. If you're writing notes in full sentences, you are wasting time. Because when you come back to these notes, you will now be reading them. It's like you're creating a mini textbook, right? And what you need is most of the times what people need is the outline of what the topics are. Take the outline of those topics and try to, for each of those sections of the topic, try to see which of these areas am I comfortable with, which of these areas am I uncomfortable with, so that you start to, and this is for everyone, you start to trust your brain to absorb most of that content and minimize the amount of time we waste writing notes. Some of the students who have excellent notes end up failing exams. They have notes that are written, the headlines are in black and underlined with red and highlighted with green. It's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how. I know some of my people in my circle when I was in high school who had amazing handwriting, amazing notes. They had the most comprehensive notes, but they weren't the top students. And this is not about being top student now. This is about real life. We waste time reading things we know, when instead of reading, you should just sit down with the topic and think about it and write down your own insights, which is why writing should become something that all of us start to do about the areas where we are in, because that develops your brain, develops your mind. James, we will pick up on your discussion next, because we are already at we are already an hour in. But keep doing what you are doing. James, you are setting yourself apart. Becoming an oncologist is only a matter of time. And you will not only become an oncologist, but you will get there through a pathway that sets you at it sets you apart in such a way that you not only enjoy the journey, but you find this is going to be just an amazing journey for you. Stick with it. And for you, thankfully, you're in medicine. I'm in medicine. By the time you are needing to maybe cross off to specialize, I'll hopefully have more bigger network on this side. And if you want to come for some exposure from here and from time to time, maybe we might be able to arrange that. Who knows? Just keep on the journey you are on. You are so young, James. You are so young, but I listened to you speaking, and I'm like, I wish I was able to speak the way you are speaking and think about ideas the way you're thinking about ideas at your age. I know that I'm looking at a star in medicine, being born in front of my eyes, just because of the consistency with which you are showing up. I noticed that you are doing like one of these sessions. You are at home. I think it's probably it's your mom or your auntie, and just the fact that you interrupted your day midday to sit in that sitting room and log on to this session and contribute. Oh, you are already miles ahead of your peers. Stick on the journey. Let's do it. Stick on this journey. Let's do it. I know we haven't heard from Diba today and Rumbi, and we are joined by Fanis today. Diba, Rumbi, we won't be able to have a long conversation, but I would like to hear your voices today. Just a brief update about where you are. We will pick up with you the next session. And this is something we are going to come round and keep conversing until we gain some depth and begin to draw some of the concepts we've learned before. Diba, what's up?
Thank you, Job. Hello, everyone. Apologies for joining late today. For the journey that I've been on with you, it's almost 3 weeks now. My focus has been two-pronged. I have a number of goals that are lifestyle goals. I also have a few goals that are related to my career growth. For most of the journey, I have been more focused on the lifestyle goals because I'm interested in learning consistency, developing self-discipline, and implanting those habits in my life so that this can impact and contribute to all the other long-term goals that I'm working on. I have had a few bumps along the road in terms of consistency, but I am seeing a build-up of momentum and a bit of consistency coming in. So it has been an interesting journey. Regarding the career growth related goals, I am on track actually on those ones because some of the work I'm working on are works that I've been working on for some time now, and some of them are related to the change in direction of the career growth that I'm taking now. So I can say I'm on track in terms of those goals, but I've had a few bumps and challenges with the lifestyle goals.
Yeah.
But what always keeps me moving is the fact that I'm self-aware of these bumps, and I always remind myself to pick up and continue sticking to the plan and not breaking the chain. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Diba. So being aware about the bumps is a win, because ordinarily you wouldn't, just keep going. But being aware is a win by itself. Rumbi, any update from you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. So, for me in general, I've been working on simplicity
Move
and
your your
simplicity in the aspect.
your phone closer or your laptop.
Okay, so can you hear me now? All right. So, I've been working on simplicity. I realized I had a lot of goals, and I'm just going to be working on two because I'm finding that five is a bit overwhelming for me to actually aim to do them every day. So I'm just targeting on doing two. So one is a lifestyle goal, then the other one is a career goal. Career goal, I'm working on writing content either daily or at least after every 2 days. And then lifestyle goal, I'm working on sleeping early and eating healthier.
Yeah, that's it's
So basically, I'm just
continue.
okay. So basically, I'm just trying to set up systems that I'm going to be using in 2021, like the structure that will work for me. And then in 2021, I'll start perfecting it as I go along. But I think 30 days is a good time frame for me to start having the structure that I need.
Yeah, that 30 days gives you enough time for you to test it and to prove to yourself that it's something that you can do. And so the narrower our focus is, the more effective we will be. So from that regard, that's something I've proven to myself over and over, and I hope that all of you begin to realize that that's true. And James said something that is very powerful, that the deeper he has delved into the one goal, the more he has realized that there are some goals that don't fit. And that's what I meant when I said that when you get one goal to rise, all the other goals rise. But that also means any goals that don't belong automatically drop off. Because sometimes we have so many disparate things that we want to learn this, I want to learn this, I want to learn this. Yet when it comes to learning goals, you have to have one main area where you are learning, and then do a ton of practice. So Rumbi, I'm very happy to hear you're creating content. That's knowing your journey, knowing the area you're developing expertise in, that is going to be crucial. Fanis, we haven't heard from you. This is your first time with us. Any words, anything you've picked from us?
Oh, hi everyone. Of course, I joined late and it's my first time, and it's been encouraging and inspiring hearing from, I first had Elena, I think she was the first one, Judith, James and the rest. And of course, as you guys were talking, I came across this group online. And so as you guys were talking, I don't want to lie, I kept Googling about you, Mogire. So so yeah, and I'm glad that it's a nice forum, and I was just thinking about my goals, and maybe tomorrow I'll have a chance to talk. Tomorrow I'll actually make sure I join in early enough and talk about my goals. I thought everyone was talking about speech, but I can see we have different goals and activities. It's all about encouraging and being there for each other, and maybe accountability. So this is my first time, and I'm glad it's the first of the month that I'm joining. Of course, I'm from Kenya. And so looking forward to, I'll just put a calendar reminder for the rest of the month so that I can join you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome to join us, Spanish. And it's for you to get a better idea about some of what we've been doing. Please search for House of Mastery with Dr. Job Mogire on YouTube. We put in a ton of content of what we've been covering there. You'll find so many videos. Don't try to watch all of them, but watch, especially there are some videos you will see about necessity, about clarity. Watch some of those videos. You'll get a flavor about what the content we've been covering is. So look forward to have you back tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, any quick takeaways, any quick reflections, like 1-2 sentences about what stood out for you today, starting with Elena.
My biggest takeaway from today is, as Jim said, that we have to be open to our goals morphing into something greater. You drop some, you gain some. Yeah, and also what Judith shared about doing that extra mile project to create that new role that you'd like.
Thank you, Elena. It's Elena. Every time you speak, you have it's just something about your way of speaking, and every time you speak, I find myself imagining you. For example, let's say you have content enough for like 40 episodes of a podcast, and it's content that is relevant to your audience. I have no doubt if that content was recorded in your voice, because you speak with so much reflection, like when you are speaking, each of you just has something unique in your voice. When Elena, you speak, I hear reflection and thoughtfulness in the present moment, right? When Diba speaks, I hear calmness, like I'm here. Don't hurry me. I'm going to say what I know what I want to say. When James speaks, I hear like your mind is working on the go and integrating ideas as you move along, right? And when there's a finality I hear in Judith's voice whenever you speak, like this is clear. This is clear to me, and that's why I'm saying it. So you can't doubt me because I know this is my truth, right? Rumbi, you speak with such an inclination as though you are expecting, you're speaking to elicit a response from the other person. This is my perspective, hearing all of you of day after day, the times that we have been here. So I believe that each of you have such a unique perspective, a unique voice. You would elicit such a different reaction from the people that any people interact with. That's just based on who you are and your unique talents, which is why we do this. I tell you all this, but I don't know what people feel or hear when I speak. But I know that there must be something. I don't know what it is. I will discover it. Sometimes I have insights about what it could be, but I hope that I will discover it and that I would get enough feedback along the way to know what it is. So Elena, I have listened to you from the time you joined. You are headed to something mind-blowing. You just have to keep on the journey. Funnies we will discover yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Elena. Let's hear from Diba.
Yeah, sorry, I had stepped out for a few minutes. I missed the question.
No, it's any takeaway from you, that's all.
Yes, thank you. The takeaway for me is the concept of personalizing everything, whether it is related to your work, whether it is related to your personal life. You are interested in learning from each experience, whether it is a task you are doing for your employer or doing it for yourself. You are interested in learning from the process. The end result is short term. The process, the growth is the long term. That's what you are interested in.
Yeah, that's a big takeaway. Thank you, Diba. James?
Okay, so two things: that every goal is personal. That's the first thing. Reminds me of a quote I read somewhere, not sure where, that you should set a goal for what it makes of you to achieve it. That regardless of wherever field that goal is in, it's all geared into making you a better person. At the end of the day, you become better at one thing, and when you pursue another one, you become better at another one, at another thing. So at the end of the day, you just become a better person. The second thing was that clarity comes as a result of momentum. And I remember my mind just went back to the 6 M's that begin with movement. So that really served to encourage me. Sometimes I think I have suffered getting stuck because of lacking clarity. But it encourages me that if I keep moving, keep measuring, keep gathering motivation, at the end of the day, I'll acquire momentum and things will become clearer for me. And everything that I want to do will become easier, more natural. I will be more connected with everything I'm doing. Yes. So I just want to say I'm grateful for every one of you guys, every one of you that we've worked with from the very beginning. And I am glad to be here. It means so much to me to be here every day. So thank you.
Thank you, James. That's amazing integration of movement, measurement, motivation, momentum, and mastery. Mastery comes at the end. Momentum comes at the end. It's movement and measurement. Movement and measurement. If there's no movement and measurement, you will never get momentum. You will never get motivation. You will never reach mastery. Yeah, that's thank you for integrating that. Judith from East Coast.
So my takeaway today is that everything is personal. Like my goals are personal, and I need to be more intentional and realize that every opportunity that I'm given is a chance to practice what I'm learning and also gear towards my ultimate goals. Yeah, so everything is personal and my goals are personal, and the opportunity that I have is to exercise and like make use of that opportunity to better myself.
Yeah. Thank you, Judith. That's you've reiterated what James also reiterated, and Diba. It's guys, I speak for 3 hours every day. By speaking is like I do this kind of presentation every day, but more than 2 of those hours are with patients, and that's how practical that idea is. For me, every conversation is a platform. So that's how I have blurred professional from personal. Everything, every activity is a personal goal for you to get growth out of it. Afanis, anything you've picked out today for the time you've been with us?
I've picked out, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, of course, I joined late, but one thing I've picked out is that this is a group of people who know what they want, where they want to go, and with encouragement and a pat on the back, I'm sure they're going to reach where they want to reach. The sky is the limit. Yes. So I'm glad to be part of this group.
Wow. Thank you, Fanis. Yeah, thank you. Everyone, did you hear that? Fanis just came in and thought you guys are the most clear people. You know where you want to go. I know it doesn't feel like that inside, but that's what I see. So I agree with Fanis. I agree with you totally. That's what I see. When I see all of you show up day in, day out, I am compassionate about the struggles that you face, but I'm also proud and inspired by the sacrifices and the actions that you are taking every single day. Rumbi. Rumbi. Rumbi, it has unmuted you, muted you, unmuted you, muted you. Are you still on?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so for me, my takeaway is that clarity is a process. It doesn't happen in one day, and that it's important that we take daily action to ensure that we're able to actually reach the clarity, where you were talking about the importance of momentum and how momentum is key for you to actually be able to reach and attain the clarity. I also liked how you were just highlighting about how everything is personal, even our goals, they're personal. It's not about just saying that it's a goal and you leave it there, but it must be a part of your daily life, whether it's in your career. It must all, kind of resonate around your personal goals.
That's true. Yeah, that's That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Rumbi. Diba, Elena, James, Judith, Fanis, and Rumbi. Thank you for joining the challenge today. I look forward to link up tomorrow. We will just keep having conversations the rest of this week before we pick up some other topics that are important for us to cover in preparation to crossing into the year. Remember the three commitments that we made. The belief is you act as though this is it. You live the next 30 days as though they are the only days you have. That's the belief. The lifestyle is optimize your day. And the goal is there is a central goal. You will continue working on the other goals, but do not let your central goal slacken. I look forward to link up again with you all tomorrow. I wish you an amazing time wherever you are. Continue living with passion.